Hello and welcome to another episode of Shampoo and Booze. This is episode number 39 at shampooandbooze.com.
We have had multiple people message us over the past couple of weeks helping us try and solve a problem. And the problem is this. We got a cleaner.
Yes.
She cleans everything very well. The house is clean.
Yeah.
The issue we're dealing with is about the details and the placement of items, you know.
Right.
So we don't want stuff just kind of shoved into a corner.
Like kitchen stuff.
Like kitchen stuff, yeah. Like, you know,
board games.
Like here are all the plates and cups is kind of random like, put on a shelf, you know. We actually want them placed in a certain way. So people gave us very good suggestions about take photos of how we want things to look. And,
right.
And I think there's even like a web app that you can download.
Oh, really?
Where you can do that as well.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Or what we did was we just, after we cleaned it last time ourselves, we actually just took pictures and we're going to make it like a little binder / checklist, you know.
So something also that we noticed was the reason why I think the kitchen-y downstairs stuff gets a little jumbled is she's mostly cleaning upstairs.
Right, and she always has a person helping her.
And sometimes it's different people.
Right.
So while they are cleaning things very thoroughly, they're just not understanding.
But I mean, it's my point is ultimately is responsible.
True.
You know, she's the boss of her cleaning crew.
Right.
And so she needs to go through at the end, and I've even told her this, just take 5 minutes and walk around and just check the details.
That everything is the way it should be.
Like, don't be in a hurry, don't be in a rush, because she is kind of kind of always in a hurry, because, you know, she's trying to do other jobs as well, and I get that, but, you know, and so anyway, she's very receptive to this information. She wants to do it correctly.
Yes.
And maybe our place is different from some of the other cabins she cleans, where they don't really care about how things are organized.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they've just gone to Goodwill and just everything's kind of a jumble anyway. So as long as stuff is kind of like just on a shelf, they don't really care.
Yeah.
We're very particular. So I guess we're going to make this little binder, right?
Yeah. So the cool thing is, and I love this, I have a color laser printer that I got on Craigslist. So I will be able to make a nice full color booklet that's just like, this is what every room should look like. And actually, the bedrooms look fine because there's not very much stuff that has to be replaced. But the kitchen is much more of a thing. So I think it's also helpful to have a checklist, because we have a mental checklist, because we put every item in this house. So we already know that. So it's helpful to just be like, you got to fill the soaps. You got to do this. Just so they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to forget to do that. You know, hopefully they're like that.
Yep. So it's good. So we really do appreciate the way other people who rent are giving us advice. I mean, we've gone from only cleaning the house ourselves to actually hiring someone who we now trust, and now getting to the point where, I mean, what we would love to do is when we were out of town, we could just let people self-check in and just communicate with people online, and then have our cleaner clean stuff, and we would not have to be there, because currently we always go over and check after she's done, and kind of do some extra stuff. I always feel I have to spend about half an hour kind of it's finishing up the way I want it to. I want it to be where she does that, where I don't have to be there. You know?
Now it's funny because when we first started, you know, being away and having our friend check people in and stuff, I think we were very set in our ways of we have to meet people, but as time has gone by, we're like, look, people show up 2 hours late, you know, like that. I think we've softened our expectations.
To be clear, we still meet people when it's convenient, but I think we are loosening our idea of it's okay to let people self-check in,
as long as you're communicating with them. And I think it's not so much that we're like barely talking to them and don't care. It's like, you know, you're talking to them on text and, you know, making sure everything's okay still.
So that being said, for our rental for, we call it the farmhouse, We had another family stay all week. So
like 8 nights or something.
So it's been almost 3 weeks back to back where a new family has come in and rented the whole week. So they rented 7 nights.
Yeah.
And it was, a younger-ish couple with a small kid, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And they were super cute. They actually wanted to meet us. I was going to just do self-check-in. But they said they were hoping they could
meet us and say hi, yeah.
So, I met them. They had a lot of questions about the area. I think that's one reason why it's good to have that personal touch.
Well, if you care about the area and you want them to go certain places and check places out.
And I just wish this would happen more for us, where we could get these week-long bookings. But it's definitely kind of a summer thing, and and also I guess the problem is because we get these future bookings where people are snagging a weekends or 2 days here.
Yeah.
We often don't have complete weeks open.
Right.
So people really have to think ahead to book these full weeks.
Right.
But it's great because, we have very little work to do.
Most of it is just like we've been messaging them, just checking up on to see if everything's okay, and it's fine.
Yeah, and these people actually booked through at VRBO, which has been rare for us.
Super rare. Yeah.
And then I guess this is the second week in a row we've had a problem with wasps.
Yeah.
We talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it
before. I think we did. Did we?
But the family before had an issue because there was like its nests of hornets or whatever down in the ground that they had to go over and kill. And just yesterday, the current people said that there was a nest on the porch, that I had to go over and just take care of. Just basically a can of wasp spray and just spray.
Yeah, but I think we've talked about this before, where like we live in the country, so we see bugs and wasps and hornets. Like, I see them all the time, and I just walk by them. I'm like, don't disturb them. If you need to kill them, you have the spray, like, if they're in your way. But it's funny, like, the messages we get from people where they're like, they're up there, what do we do? And you're like, don't worry, I'll come over. Well, the great thing is you were going into town anyway. It's not like you're like, you have to rush over there.
It was absolutely no problem at all, but it is interesting to think, like, when we are away and we aren't personally able to go over there, for something like that, it would mean, having to have someone we know go over there. And to me, it's just kind of strange, I guess, because if I was staying at a place and there was like a hornet's nest, I would just buy a $2 can of spray and just spray
it. Just take care of it. Yeah. Well, I think also what we should do, because we are going to be away, is have some spray, not accessible to little kids or anything, but like we have a shed for trash. Just have a bunch there and be like,
go for it.
Just use it. It costs $2,
But very, very minor issues.
Yeah, if that's the only issue, great. Yeah. That's no big deal at all.
So far, we've really, this is our second year of renting this place, and we had a really good first year. And the second year has, I would say, even been a little bit better. Yeah. Mainly because we raised our prices to, I think, what is more what the market will allow us to rent it for. And we were worried about raising our prices. People might not book as much. If people have either booked the same amount or maybe even a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been good. So now, for us, we're moving into the fall, which those of you who rent in kind of more of it's vacation area know that means that, now school's beginning. Right. Families are less likely to come and book entire weeks, and now it's more, for us, it's more a weekenders, people just escaping from their jobs for a couple days.
Yeah, and we do get those people. Like, people do come out for the weekend in the fall all the time, so it's good.
We'll see how...
Hopefully all the time.
We'll see how all the time it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, now for the place we are renovating, which we call the River House.
Yes, it's near the river. It's not on the river. It's near the river.
We've been talking for the past several months about building a driveway up a hill.
Yeah.
And we were over there yesterday, and it's basically complete.
It's basically done.
Yeah.
The last thing that he needs to do is put a buttload of gravel and drive over it so it packs down.
But we're actually able to drive up
We
the
drove
hill,
up it a couple times.
And he's kind of landscaped things. I mean, just I guess it might be hard to kind of explain the details, but he's done it to where he's taken the yard, which was kind of a mess, unusable, and he's actually cleaned it all up.
Yes.
And now there's a driveway, and basically we're making a kind of like a country cabin, kind of a weekender cabin, and we want to turn it into a home.
Right, because the idea is you want people, this is our theory, I think. You want people to come to a place that is nicer than where they live.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. We're trying, I think that's what we did for our first is rental. You want to make a place where people want to say, this is the way I want to make our house. But, all of us who, live in your own house, you don't have the time to make the house as nice as you want to make it.
Or, people live in the city, so they're renting a condo and they can't do those things, or they can't afford it, or they don't have time, like you said, or whatever. So you want to make it into a place that is, it's because right now it could just be a little hunting shack or whatever you know.
Kind of, it's like a 2-person getaway.
Yeah.
And we want to make it into like a 5 to 6 person like
awesome house.
Yeah, place.
Yeah. Exactly.
So this driveway's almost done.
Yes.
And it looks like it's going to cost us it's less than what we thought.
I hope so. Now, we did the first payment, and we have the second payment to do.
Right. So the first payment was $6,500.
Yeah, about $6,500.
And we just paid that. So he hasn't done that much work. So I'm hoping we can get it to like $9,000, which is...
If it's $9,000, that is a miracle.
Because I had been budgeting like $15,000. So we'll see.
So we'll see what happens. But it's so far so good.
So and we put on a metal roof on it. So we did that already.
Yes, that's done.
We bricked up the chimney,
which was surprisingly a major job.
Right. It was a big,
it's a huge chimney.
So the outside of this place is starting to really look good.
Yeah.
Now,
yes.
The next step is like carpentry and renovations of the inside.
Right.
And we've decided we're going to actually add on to the house.
Yes.
We're going to add on to the front of this house and bring out a big room.
What's interesting is right now, if you guys have seen the photos in the past, pictures that I posted, there's a deck. There's like kind of a big deck out front. And we were standing out there, and Jay was just standing there, and he's like, why don't we just make this a room? Like, that would... The good thing is, when you can increase square footage in a house, the value goes up.
Right.
And the pleasure of being in the house goes up.
It's just a huge deck. So there'll still be a deck.
Right.
It'll be just smaller.
Right.
But now there'll be a big... It's a room, and it'll be like a sunroom.
Like a sunroom, like an atrium.
/ like hangout area.
Because the house doesn't really have that.
And then that allows us to build a second bedroom.
Yes.
And then we'll add another bath. So we're taking like basically a 1-bedroom, 1-bath and make it into a 2-bedroom.
1.5 bath.
Yeah, it's 1.5 bath.
Which,
so it
with more square footage.
To become a home. And that means we can then charge more per night.
Now that is a good thing to think about. Because if you could already charge a good amount, I think we would maybe not do as much. We'd be like, it's fine. Number one, we're not people that say it's fine anyway. But I think that's a really good point. You're like, we can put more people comfortably in this house, and your price per night, every night of the year for the next 20 to 30 years goes up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so instead of just being able to rent to like a couple, we can now rent to families.
Right.
And again, for us, we've seen we can charge a lot more.
Right. A good amount more. Yeah. Like almost double what people charge.
Yeah. I don't know about double. I mean, I think we could have charged like $175 a night before, and now we can charge like, it's $50, so like $75 extra.
Right.
So the next thing we did was we've now engaged our like carpenter / contractor team.
Yes.
And these are 3 guys that we've worked with on previous projects.
They basically did our house.
And here's the deal. We love them to death. That's why we want to work with them. But they're really crazy rednecks. You know? They're like just... When you meet them, they just seem a little bit out of control in a way. I mean, each of them has their own little different personalities, and they work well together.
Yeah.
But you're like, how can these people do anything? And so, but we know how talented they are.
I mean, so what it comes down to is they're like this ragtag crew of guys. It's 3 guys that work together. And the work they do is so amazing that, like you said, if you first met them and you didn't know them and you didn't see their work, you'd be like a little bit taken aback.
It's just the way they talk, their energy. And, but then we actually met them at a project they've been doing for almost
a while.
A year now. It's working on like a country farmhouse home.
Yeah.
And we went over there and met the owners, and they took us on a tour of all the work that these guys have done. And it looks like a magazine house.
I mean, it's just incredible. Like, we drove up to the house and we were like, this is incredible. Like, they've done such beautiful work.
And, it's something that is always interesting to me, where you can have guys who are so talented, who can make something that it looks like it's an Architectural Digest. But yet, we know where they live. They live in just like kind of raggedy old houses that are falling apart, and it's so interesting to me why they're capable of doing this work, but they don't want to do it for their
themselves,
own house or something, or they're not balancing their own money to do it because they get paid pretty well. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really matter how their lives are. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
But we wanted to meet with them and set a time of when we want to engage them, so they know that they have work, and that they give us their time. Like,
basically, what we're doing, and this is all you. You are very good at this. You're like, this is when we're starting. Like, when we come back from our big trip, when we go to Ireland, we come back on the 18th. We're like, we're starting on the 20th
of October. Yeah,
because basically you're putting them on hold, like you're scheduling them. You're like, this is we want
just so
you
they don't take
available.
Other work or whatever. So October 20th is when I said our start date is. Yeah, we've saved up a bunch of cash, so we have it's money to begin and kind of go for a while. So that's exciting, And so our step between now and October 20th is getting a permit from the county, to be able to do the work we want to do. So Ryan actually got the paperwork, and you actually did the permit application.
Yeah, so I've done permit applications before for other things we've been doing. So, and I've worked with the county, like I know the guys down there and stuff, guys and girls. Yeah. So I feel comfortable talking to them, asking them questions, so it's good because I feel like I have a relationship with them already.
And we actually learned this, the first house we did, I was the one kind of in charge of dealing with the county, and I was just really butting heads. It would always really make me angry that I had to ask permission to do things, and they would fight me, and it was not good. We learned it's better if Ryan takes care of that. Yeah. And you're really good at talking to these guys.
I think because it just really comes down to, like, honest, like, sexism. I have to say it, because I feel like with guys and with you, it's like this ego thing where you're just like, why do I don't have to ask permission from you. I feel that way too. Like, I understand, like, there's so much bureaucracy that you're like, why do I have to tell them about this? That's so annoying, But for me, I just kind of like play it like chill, where I'm just like, okay, if that's what I have to do, like, I don't know.
And I don't think it's a sexism like, sexy, like, girl coming in. I think it's more, in my mind, it's like, you're like their daughter. Right. And they're like, this is my daughter, and so
I'm going to be nice to her. Yeah, I want to help her
out. She's trying to do the right thing.
Right, and then, no, I think I mean sexism, where they think I don't know what I'm talking about, so I have to, like, play dumb, kind of. Like, I don't know, just whatever. which is annoying. But
I can imagine too, if you actually play dumb, I can't imagine if you ever.
No, it's not playing dumb. I guess it's sort of like
just like if you aren't a threat to their
right. I'm
authority.
not exactly. Yeah. I'm not a threat to their authority. Right. So, but I don't know what it is. I feel like I've been able to get along with them well enough where. Well, because, okay, so when you apply for a business license for our Airbnb, and then actually I applied for the other Airbnb before we, like, decided to completely gut the entire house, you know, they know me, they know I'm not trying to get over on them, right. I'm just like, just tell me what I'm supposed to do, right. I'll get it done. I feel like I have a good attitude right. with them, you know, where I'm just like,
good.
You know, I'm not trying to, like,
right.
you know, skirt around the rules. Just tell me what the rules are, and I'll do it. And most of the time, they're just like, "It's fine. Yep. You're supposed to do this, but the way you have it is fine. Don't worry about it." And you're like, "Oh, okay, yep. Great."
Good. So that needs to be done before we leave to go to Ireland, and so that will be done in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we can get stuff approved. I mean, you know, when it was just going to be kind of an inside, just it's renovation, it wasn't going to be a big deal. But now we want to add an extra room.
When you add a room, you go through every department.
Because you have to go through the zoning department, you have to go through the health department, and the building department.
It's 3 different departments.
And they all have to come out and inspect it, and then they all have to agree that it has to get done.
So, you know, when I was filling out this paperwork, I was realizing, you know, if we don't add this sunroom thing, we don't have to, like, do any of this. It's the sunroom that makes it, like, this whole other structure. So, in my mind, I was like, should we really do this? But we really want it. You know, I think it will really add to the house. So, I'm willing to go through the paperwork and the headache to make it happen, I guess. Because it is a headache. I mean, this is, like, serious. They have to, like, check your septic and stuff.
And so, I mean, just to kind of wrap this part of it up, I mean, so this is what it's like being your own contractor.
Yes.
Normally, when you hire a contractor and they charge you an extra 20% of the job, they're the ones that handle this because it is a pain in the butt. You know, you got to do that. Applications, as you have to go out there and meet them when each of the department wants to come. You have to be, you know, checking on things and all that stuff. But we're willing to do that. And I think it helps because we're in a smaller county, in my mind. So everyone's a bit more approachable.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know everybody, and they know you, and they know your projects, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. But for us, it seems to be a good thing.
Yeah, because I think we have a good reputation. I think it's only bad when you have a reputation for trying to get around, you know, rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So let's talk about our numbers for this year. So we judge how well we're doing based on how many nights we have booked in 2016. So out of 365 nights, we have 193 nights booked.
Cool.
So we've booked 2 more nights in the past 2 weeks. You know, we haven't gotten a rush of nights because basically our summertime has been booked. So no one can book anymore in August, really. So now it's about the fall,
right?
And we quite haven't gotten, you know, a big rush yet, but we hope that happens.
But I think there are a lot of weddings that happen in the fall too. That's something I forgot about.
Right.
You know, there's these weekend weddings that happen, and like actually someone tried to book 2 nights that had already been booked that same morning because of a wedding. So it's kind of a cool thing to see. Like, okay.
I think as the summer's kind of winding down here, I'm hoping that the people start booking for the fall who want to come out on weekends or do hiking because it starts getting cooler where we are. The leaves start changing. It's like the perfect time to go hiking. So we have 14 nights booked in September, which is good. You know, when we have 15 nights booked, it's like a solid month.
Yeah.
You know? So we're basically already there.
Yeah. I think we'll get a little more.
You know, when we have 20 nights booked, it's like we're doing really well. And if it's over 20 nights, it's like crazy good.
Yeah.
But so we want to try and get to 200 nights booked for 2016. We're just about there. We have much of the fall to book. So I wonder how many more nights over 200 we'll have booked.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Because people do book for holidays and stuff. Like last year, Thanksgiving and Christmas were booked. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for the podcast. You can check out our blog at shampooandbooze.com for links we talk about and to join the conversation. You can leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
And we always love to hear from people, if you have, experience redoing a place to rent. We love to hear that,
Or if you're I find that there are several people that write to us on email, too, that are looking for a place to do Airbnb. Like, they're looking in real estate, and I would love to hear your experience and what you're finding in your area.
Yeah.
That's always fun for me.
Exactly.
We post an episode every Monday morning. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube, and you'll always get the latest episode. You can listen to our other podcast, where we talk about how we sell stuff that we scavenge to fund our renovations, and that's at scavengerlife.com. Bye.
Bye.